Welcome to Decision 2023, where we will hear from two candidates seeking one seat at Scottsdale City Council this November. I'm Terrence Thornton, founder and editor of the Arizona Digital Free Press, and I'd like to tell everyone that our format will be as follows. We will have opening remarks from each candidate in alphabetical order, with Ms. Carter leading us off. We will then have moderated questions from myself, and then we will have moderated questions from readers who sent me questions over the last few weeks. In addition, I have a speed round of 10 to 15 questions, and then I have yes or no only answers to round out the moderated portion of the program here today. And finally, we will have closing remarks from both of our candidates. And without further ado, Ms. Carter, you have 3 minutes to provide your opening remarks.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I want to thank you, Terrence, and the Arizona Free Digital Press for hosting this forum. I want to also thank the mayor and the city council for allowing us to use your beautiful space here in the Kiva. I am forever grateful to, I see many of my volunteers, my supporters that I ran with. Really, we pounded signs together, and we really bonded during this campaign, and I am so grateful for those who have supported me in the primary. And of course, I thank the Lord, first of all, because He gave me the strength to pursue my passion for this city. My father, Colby Carter, was in the Air Force and a business owner here in Arizona for over 70 years. He trained on the same aircraft that is housed in our Scottsdale Air Park, the Boeing Stearman PT-17, the bomber that was used in World War II. Unfortunately, I lost him in the middle of my campaign, which really has strengthened me and my resolve to protect the values he instilled in me since I was a child. Hard work, the love of people, first of all, and family are the, sorry, I'm about to cry. They're the attributes that really shaped my life early on. Particularly the love for people. I never saw my dad forget anyone's name. I'm working on that myself to remember everyone's name, but he never forgot anyone's name, and you always felt like you were the only person in the room when he was talking with you. I'm an Arizona native, and I was raised in Scottsdale, and I love this city and the people. I was a business owner of the largest sports medicine and weight training facility in the nation at one time, right here in South Scottsdale. So I know what it takes to raise a family, plus manage a successful business in our booming economy. Therefore, I am a fiscal conservative and pro-business. I have a master's degree in biblical theology, mass communications. I became a producer and a director of national television, including my own TV show, Get in Shape with Pamela Carter, which aired nationwide. I will fight on the City Council to preserve Scottsdale's integrity and its rich Western heritage. And I want to ensure that the citizens and legal residents are top priority. I will be your voice and advocate to protect your homes and property values from high-density, high-rise, multi-level units that are encroaching on our neighborhoods as homeowners. I'm endorsed by the Arizona legend, Barry Goldwater Jr., Senator Nancy Barto, Maria Sims, Charlie Kirk, Officer Brandon Tatum, and the newly elected Fountain Hills Council members. And I'm also endorsed by one of the premier tour companies, Detours American West, and they touch thousands of tourists in Scottsdale every year. My goals as your councilwoman are to protect Scottsdale from high-density, high-rise overdevelopment.
Thank you, Ms. Carter.
Okay, that's 3. Wow, okay, well, thank you.
Graham, you're on the clock.
Terrence, thank you. 3 minutes goes fast, I think.
Boy, it does.
It does.
It
Sorry.
really does. So, it is just so good to be here with you. And this campaign is about making sure that residents' opinions are respected more, so more citizens have a say in the future of our city, especially on the pace of growth, the quality of development, and preserving Scottsdale's character. I am the only candidate running for City Council who has been the chairman of a bond commission that promoted public safety, which led to building a fire station in the north of the city and relocating a fire station to McCormick Ranch area. I'm the only candidate in this race who actually voted to reject nearly 500 apartments on the Shea Corridor, as well as the Greenbelt 88 apartments. And I'm the only candidate who has spent 10 years gaining experience studying and voting on so many critical and crucial issues. While serving on the Planning Commission, I not only opposed the Shea apartment proposals, I voted against the Greenbelt 88 apartment project. And why? Because all three projects were opposed by residents. I helped lead the approval of two firsts as well in our city. The first was a voluntary workforce housing apartment project, and the second was the first construction mitigation plan in the Old Town area, which is going to put a lot of our downtown merchants at ease. When we elect a new council member, I believe their experience on city issues matters. I grew up in North Scottsdale, and I worked there in that area as a certified public accountant. My wife and I are raising our twin sons, Baron and Monroe, in South Scottsdale. So I value the importance and the responsibility of helping shape our city. You can learn more about my campaign at Barry Graham Residents First. And again, thank you so much, Terrence, for having us here. Try not to take the full 3 minutes, but I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you very much. As my role as moderator, it's to keep us on time. And what I have presented for us is about a 60-minute program. Could be 45 minutes, though, depends on how we go. Now that we're moving into the moderated portion of questions, during this time, we allow 1-minute retorts to whatever disagreement the candidates may have in regard to what was just said. So without further ado, we're going to start with Mr. Graham will be the first to respond to this question. And you have 1 minute to respond, and I will very politely keep us on track. And the first question we have is, Mr. Graham, how will you work together with your colleagues, some of whom you may disagree with, for the common good of the community of Scottsdale if elected to City Council? You are on the clock.
On the clock. Well, thank you, Terrence. And I didn't get to congratulate you, but congratulations on your new publication.
Thank you.
So the question is, how will I get along with my fellow council members? Well, I'm very proud of the fact that I've been endorsed by council member Kathy Littlefield and Betty Janik. And I would say I've, over the last 10 years on boards and commissions that I've served at the city, I have gotten to know many people, other volunteers who are working for the citizens. And we didn't always agree, but I felt like we always got along. But I think one of the things about my Residents First campaign is that it is important to get along with people on city council, but that doesn't mean you go along to get along. There were times on commissions where I voted in the minority because I was sitting there studying and listening to resident input and researching the projects. And at that point, I knew it's better not to go along to get along. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Terrence. Well, number one, I owned a huge business here in South Scottsdale. It was the largest sports medicine weight training facility in the nation at the time. I also was the station manager of KPAZ television. I worked with hundreds of crew members, as well as produced and directed my own TV shows. So I know what it is to work with other people. I interviewed hundreds of other people in different walks of life. I was a chair of Help for Kids, which is a community outreach to at-risk children and families. I'm also on the board of directors for the National Latina Commission. So I know what it is to work with diverse groups of people and bring them together. I was also the Strategic Initiatives Director for the faith community. So I can reach out to the faith community. I can reach out on the council to those I might disagree with, But one of my favorite scriptures is, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I understand that that has been adopted in our general plan as one of our mottos. And in everything, what you do to others will come back on your own head. So I always want to err on the side of goodness, and I want to always make sure I listen with intent and then make the quality decisions that I need to make, which I have done my whole career.
Thank you, Ms. Carter.
Thank you.
Ms. Carter. And Ms. Carter, question to you. Lead us off for this one. From your perspective, what is the #1 issue you seek to solve if elected to Scottsdale City Council?
Well, I think one of the issues is we have to curtail the overdevelopment in Scottsdale, but we need quality development. So I'm in favor of quality development and pursuing the safety of our citizens. I know crime has increased in the entertainment district. I know the police are doing everything they can, and I was the only candidate to suggest giving them a raise, which I was glad that you gave them a raise. So thank you, City Council, for doing that. I was talking with the chief of police, and he said, you know, we had a beautiful tour of the forensic crime lab right here in Scottsdale. It was so fascinating to see everything that is being done to keep us safe. But I do want to work with the police, our first responders, and make sure that we vote on quality, good development, and not just gratuitously spend money. I am a fiscal conservative and a business owner, so I know what it takes to run a business.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Mr. Graham, to you.
Thanks, Terrence. I think that in this election, in this time, the #1 issue is the pace of development across Scottsdale. And I think that part of that is that residents have lost trust in their city government because there's a divide between maybe the direction, the vision of the city government and what residents want for their city. So it's about making sure that residents feel like they have more control, they have more say in the quality of growth or the quality of development and in the pace of growth. I mean, we've talked about, you know, there's concerns out there about the pipeline of apartments that are already there and more that are coming. And we all know that this is, the pace of growth affects our tourism, it affects our ability to bring visitors into our city, and it affects the quality of life that everybody moved here to enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Question to you again. As the fall legislative season is upon us here locally, what has your attention?
Sorry, Terrence, did you say it was for me?
Yes.
Okay. At the fall legislative session, one thing that I'm concerned about in Scottsdale is the short-term rental bad actors. And we know that locally, the state legislature in 2018, 2019 took away a lot of local control. And that's really had a disproportionate harmful effect on tourism-centric cities. I mean, if you've been to Sedona, it feels like it's ruined. And there is some 6,000 or more of our precious housing units that have been taken up by short-term rentals, you know, investors that are coming in, gobbling up our precious housing and turning them into mini hotel LLCs. And that's unfair when you are on that street and you've got a bad actor, STR, near you. You hear the noise, the other negative adverse effects. And so I'm looking to the legislature to return more local control to the municipalities so we can rein this in and address it at the local issue, at the local level. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Ms. Carter, to you.
Yes, actually I am endorsed by Senator Nancy Barto, who did work on legislation to ensure that our short-term rentals, it's Senate Bill 1168, which I was the only candidate to actually bring that up as well. And it does put some restrictions and gives it the power back to our city governments and put some restrictions, and I don't think it's overreaching. I think that there is a place where our state legislatures can work with our city governments and make the laws that will protect the bad actors that are encroaching on our neighborhoods. I can't tell you the amount of people I have talked with in South Scottsdale that are very concerned, especially in South Scottsdale, about the short-term rental and the noise, the party houses, and the noise especially. The ordinances need to be enforced, and they can be now because the power was given back to the municipalities. And I think that's a good thing. And actually, I was speaking with the short-term rental Airbnbs.
Ms. Carter, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just ding me when I'm necessary.
I'm trying. Okay, so next one for you. What do you think of the current economic state of things, and how is Scottsdale positioned to weather any significant downturns that could be coming?
Is this for me?
This is for you.
Okay. Well, I think we need to work with our business owners, and being a business owner myself, I have reached out to many business owners, and in fact, one of the people that have endorsed me, Detours American West, he was started out as a tour director, and then began to own the business that he was working for. And so I think that we need to reach out, work with our business owners, work with those that are on the ground, in the trenches, and which I have done myself as a business owner here, and also the station manager of KPAZ Television. I've worked with hundreds of community leaders all over the valley. So,
Excellent. Mr. Graham, to you.
Terrence, the question was about the economy, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. What do you think of the current economic state of things, and how is Scottsdale positioned to weather any significant downturns that could be coming down the pike?
Okay. Well, I'm concerned. I'm concerned about where the economic growth numbers are headed, and nobody wants a recession. Nobody wants a severe recession. I do, however, think that Scottsdale is in a good position. We've got a strong economic base. We've got a enviable, one-of-a-kind tourism base. And we also have a AAA bond rating. We have the highest credit rating you can get as a city. And that's because our city has been living within its means, and something we need to keep doing. We need to watch our dollars and spend efficiently. And to keep that winning formula intact, I think we need to maintain and protect the character of our city. And that is connected to development. And it's also about remembering that what makes us economically strong, in large part, is our tourism. And so the character of our city, which draws people here, visitors, and all the people that live here, it's very important to protect. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. This question's for you to lead us off. Good segue into this topic. Where do you stand on affordable housing needs in this city, and do they actually exist?
Do affordable housing needs exist? The answer is yes. And so, affordable housing, it's about the median income, a percentage of median income, and monthly for what you'd pay per month for rent or mortgage. I don't think the city should be meddling or getting into the affordable housing business as far as more vouchers and really affordable type government housing. I do, however, think workforce housing is a different issue. When I was on the Planning Commission, I led the effort to add several of it, first of its kind, voluntarily, affordable workforce housing units in a project in the downtown Scottsdale area. And that is for teachers and firefighters and police and first responders. Sort of the other side of that coin is paying these types of positions, first responders, competitively with other cities. So we need to make sure that they're being paid rates and wages that are competitive with neighboring cities. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Ms. Carter, to you.
Affordable housing, I think that we definitely in Scottsdale, we don't have really affordable housing for most people. And I do differ with Mr. Graham in the fact that 8 units in a complex of several hundred is not adequate, but I do not believe that the city should be subsidizing any kind of Section 8 housing or creating the market for affordable housing. I think that we should add to the teachers and to the police their salaries and make it affordable. I was a homeowner by the time I was 21 and owned my first business by the time I was 23. So I know it can be done. I know people, I'm a proponent of home ownership. I'm pro-business and a fiscal conservative. So I don't believe the city should be meddling in the housing affordability issue.
Thank you, Ms. Carter.
Terrence, do I get a response
yes,
since,
you do.
since I got mentioned?
1 minute retort. Yes.
I just probably 30 seconds, but
Take as much
you ever
time
seen a
you
politician cut himself off? No. The Toll Brothers unit in the downtown area, that was a first of its kind. Never been done. It's a voluntary basis. There's no government mandates. There's no stipulations or strings attached to that. It was voluntary, and it set an example. It was a seminal introduction to our city, and it had never been done. So hopefully it can be an example, an exemplar going forward. Thank you.
Ms. Carter, do you care to respond?
Well, Barry has spoken, right?
Okay. Moving on, Ms. Carter, this question is going to start with you. Why are you here? What has spurred this spirited run to local office?
Well, number one, I love Scottsdale. I'm a native of Arizona, and I love this city. I was raised here, and I really wanted to do something solid to promote Scottsdale as the premier tourist attraction, really, in the world. People come from all over the world. I wanted to put my footprint here as a leader. I've led hundreds of people over my career, and I think that we need good leadership. We need people who will stand up for their values and want to become the city and in the city and be in the community. I will be in the community. I will be out and about with the people. And that's why I jumped in the race. I love the people. And this is about reaching out to the community through different nonprofits. I've done this for many years, probably longer than this gentleman has been alive, but that's okay too.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Mr. Graham, to you.
The question, why am I here, right?
Why are you here?
Why
are you here, Barry?
Well, I'm here because, 10 plus years ago now, I wanted to serve. I wanted to volunteer. And so I got on a commission. And before I knew it, the commissioners made me chair. And I served them. And I got on another commission. And I just kept serving, and I kept learning. Finally, in 2020, I was put on, I was appointed to Planning Commission. And I got to serve, and I was having so much fun serving my community and just learning or studying the issues. I got to vote on so many great issues, and during those 10 plus years, I started to realize there was a growing breach or divide between the direction city government was going and what residents wanted from their city leadership. What they wanted, what their vision was for their city, the reasons they moved here, and what they wanted to see their city become. And it's that breach, that divide, is what compelled me to get in this race. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. And question to you, Mr. Graham,
Sure.
is, have the politics of local government changed? And if so, how are you going to operate in this new breed of politicking?
So the question is, have the politics of local government changed? I have observed politics in our local municipality for more than 10 years. I've been watching it. I've seen issues come and go. I've seen the evolution of issues. And really what I've seen is a growing distrust. And it's funny, this is actually kind of close to my last answer, and that was this growing divide between the direction where city council or where city government was taking the residents and with the vision that residents had for their city. And I think when you get divisions like that, when you get divides between where the direction of city leadership and where residents want, it does lead to some levels of distrust and cynicism. And so my Residents First campaign is about restoring trust and getting the city government vision closer to the residents' vision. That's why the campaign slogan of my campaign slogan is "Put Residents First."
Thank you,
Thank you,
Barry.
Terrence.
Ms. Carter, to you.
I always want to listen to the citizens and the legal residents that have made their home here in Scottsdale, because I am a native Arizonan and I grew up here. And I did not like the direction that the city was going in terms of building out of control, spending gratuitously our taxpayer dollars, and I wanted to rein that in some way by running for city council. I want to be your voice. I want to be someone that you can come to and express your concerns and then vote appropriately. I do not like the politics that have become so negative, and I think that bashing your opponent, which I have not done, is not the way to win an election. Yeah, you may win, but it's not going to be done the right way. So politics, I believe, have gotten out of control in those areas, creating lies and deceptions and then attacking your opponent, which I will not do, because I feel like we're all citizens. We all deserve to present our case and then let the voters decide. So that's what I would like to do on the
Thank you,
city
Ms.
council.
Carter.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Ms. Carter. Ms. Carter, question to you. What has this campaign meant to you?
Wow. I've been out, I've gotten to meet so many wonderful people. I've been able to interact with my volunteers. It has touched my life deeply. It's just so wonderful to meet the different diversity of people, citizens, listen to their concerns. I want to vote in favor of what the citizens' concerns are in this race. So it's meant a great deal to me. I see many of my volunteers here today. They've prayed for me, they've supported me financially, and it's just been a wonderful, wonderful experience. We have been through it together, though, being out in the hot sun, 115 degrees, and pounding signs and walking the neighborhoods, talking to voters. So I love the people. I think it's created a deep, deep love for the people of Scottsdale, and that's why I'm running, is because I don't want to see this city destroyed by crime or homelessness. I think that's another huge issue.
Thank you, Ms. Carter.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Carter. Mr. Graham, to you.
Thank you, Terrence. What has this campaign meant to me? That's the question, right? This campaign is, I spent 10 years on boards and commissions, and I would study very closely the issues. And, you know, Scottsdale has a citizenry that is very engaged and very passionate. And I got to meet so many people during that time when they expressed concerns, favor or disfavor in the projects that were affecting their neighborhoods. And then this campaign started, and I really got a sense. I got to speak and make contact with thousands of residents. And I'm just reminded over and over again how talented and passionate that the people of our city are. They are incredibly engaged. They can evaluate somebody, and they can see the candidate and what they stand for. So this campaign has really been a great opportunity for me to meet so many people and really learn where the issues they care about and stand for. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Last question from me. From an economic perspective specifically, are short-term rental enterprises bad for Scottsdale? Graham, it's to
Yes, of course. Short-term rentals, in my opinion, have a net negative effect on the city of Scottsdale. If you live near one and you're not in an HOA, you know how if you've got a bad actor in your neighborhood, it can be very menacing. Senate Bill 1168, it was an incremental improvement, but it didn't tie complaints and you have a certain number of strikes and you're out. It doesn't tie those to a housing unit, and so a savvy STR proprietor can just transfer over the title and set up shop and move on, and they got a clear slate. So I actually thought that was a very incremental improvement in the city's ability to manage short-term rentals on the local level. There's also things about short-term rental that have to do with public safety and quality of life. I mean, a lot of people move here. You move here for your quality of life, and when you live near one of these party houses, that's jeopardized. So it's something that I think the city council should work hard to lobby the legislature to bring more local control. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Ms. Carter, to you.
Well, I think too that our police, I'm in favor of fully staffing our police force, 35 officers short right now in Scottsdale, but I want to make sure that they're fully staffed so they do have a special unit that they have just started to address the short-term rental crisis in our city. I do believe, though, it does bring in income, it does bring in taxes. So I don't think that we need to completely eradicate. I think what we need to do is enforce ordinances that affect other citizens. There are other neighbors that should be protected and not be overrun by, I do know some citizens that have expressed concerns. They've seen actually escort buses coming in, the partying, the drugs, and it's really upsetting them. And so I think we need to support fully our police in enforcing these ordinances like SB 1168. It actually does create an emergency contact number that has to be on the record. There's a lot of foreign investors coming in buying up our homes, and then that does create more of a housing shortage.
Thank you, Ms. Carter.
So I do believe that's something that should be enforced.
Thank you very much. So that concludes the questions from me. Now we're going to move into reader questions. And readers of what? Well, the ArizonaDigitalFreePress.com, that's what they're reading. And the first question we have is, it's a great one. Ms. Carter, to you.
Yes.
Have you received any campaign contributions or support from any of the candidates who did not survive the primary?
I know where that's coming from, but I will be completely honest, and I feel very honored that my competitors, those that ran against me, we are on different platforms. I want to make it perfectly clear. I have not changed my views, unlike some people have accused me of changing my views on development. I think everybody knows where I stand on that, and I'm going to be strong on those issues. But I am very honored that my competitors, many of them, some of them have not endorsed, but they have supported me with kind words, and I really do appreciate that. I think it's an honor.
Mr. Graham, to you, yes.
The answer is absolutely not. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Mr. Graham, question for you. How does Mr. Graham feel his tax preparation experience is more useful to addressing Scottsdale's issues?
I appreciate that question. I think it's a mischaracterization a little bit of my professional experience. I'm not even in the tax department in my accounting firm. I have a 15-year professional financial career behind me, and most of that is in the audit and assurance and consulting side. I go into businesses that are up to $500 million in revenues, and we look at their procedures, operations, and we give them recommendations for operational improvement. I think that's a very important skill because I can read financial statements. I understand the processes for invoices for all the government spending, municipal spending, and receipts, and I think that will serve me very well, especially on budget commissions, and we're looking at budgetary matters. My other experience, 10 years plus on boards and commissions, has also made me council ready because I've studied the issues and I voted on the critical issues during that time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Carter, a question for you specifically. How does Ms. Carter feel her wide background in business and nonprofit operations is more useful to addressing Scottsdale's issues?
Well, I think as a leader, you have to know the people. You've got to be out with the community and know who those people are in your community. I think it's great that he knows budgets and all that, but I think I can learn that, and I think that we have people that can help us with that on the council and in the city staff. But my experience is being out in the community with the people. I've onboarded employees. I've worked with hundreds of people citywide in this city, as well as my experience as the station manager of a huge multi-million-dollar facility right here in the valley. I have reached out in nonprofit organizations such as Help for Kids. We fed the poor, we fed the children, we bused them in to go to church. I've reached out in the faith community. I think I'm a much more diverse candidate that can reach out to a diverse group of people. I'm also on the National Latino Commission. My grandmother is Latina, and I love my heritage, and I'm able to reach out in all walks of life. And I used to love going to
Thank you,
Globe,
Ms. Carter.
Arizona, and eating her tortillas.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. I'm a fan of tortillas as well. Question to you is how, for both of you,
Who's you?
Carter, I'm sorry, Ms. Carter, excuse me. How do you both feel about Scottsdale's general plan policy of favoring aging in place? 1 minute to you.
For me?
Yep.
Well, I think we just passed a huge project for the senior living facility right here off of Osborne. I thought it was a good quality program. I thought it was a good project. And I do favor our seniors being able to live in the city that they grew up in and where their families are. I think that's great.
Thank you, Ms. Carter.
Thank you, Terrence. Well, the thing about the senior center that was passed was that that's where you go after you age in place, because you age in place means that you stay in the house that you raise your family or retired, and then you remain there. So it's a component that I support. Thank you.
Okay.
May I
Barry,
answer that, please? May I answer?
you may 30-second retort.
Okay. Aging in place, what does that even mean? Okay. Residential living, my parents were in an assisted living. That doesn't mean they're not aging in place. That's all.
Ms. Graham, do you care to respond? Okay. Moving on, next question, Mr. Graham, to you first. The future of water has some unknowns. Do you think rations are coming?
The short answer is I hope not, probably not. Last week, the city of Scottsdale put on a water symposium, and they told us unequivocally that water here is being managed. We've got big aquifers that have been charged very diligently. The problem with water in Scottsdale is that Scottsdale buys 70%, some 70% of its water from Colorado River water, and the rest comes from SRP. So that water, the area of our country in particular that's drought-ridden is the upper basin states of Colorado and Utah, and to some extent New Mexico is where the water comes from. And we just got a 21% cut from the state's compact agreement. California took 0 cuts. Arizona got 21% cut. And like I said, 70% of our water comes from that. I don't think, though, to sum up my position, I don't think it's fair to even think about asking residents to cut back while we approve major upzonings for thousands more apartments to make space for people to come in. I think that's unfair to current residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Ms. Carter, same question to you.
Well, I was at the same symposium, and we are experiencing a drought, and we do need to conserve water. The only issue is that Scottsdale has the best conservation, I think, one of the best, if not the best, in the nation. We have prepared for this for many, many years, and we do have the ability to recycle and regenerate the water we have. I think that let's get some more education to our citizens about how all this operates and how this all works. I think that would be great to get a program where citizens or residents can come and learn more about the water conservation of Scottsdale. We have one of the best, but I do believe we are needing to conserve. For me, I find myself turning off the water faucet and not letting it just run. So
Thank you, Ms.
I'm aware
Carter.
of that.
Barry, why don't you start us off with this one?
Sure, of course.
What experience do you have that makes you the more qualified candidate for city council?
Well, the experience I have, I've gone over it, and it's the 10 years I've been on boards and commissions serving the city. I've gotten to know and I've gotten to learn and study and vote on many of the most critical issues facing our city: apartment proposals, traffic, streets, funding of capital projects, and I've gotten to meet a lot of people, a lot of residents, and understand what they care about, understand their vision for the city. The logo of my campaign, or the phrase of my campaign, is "Put residents first," because it's about bringing the direction of city government back to the vision of what the residents want. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Ms. Carter, to you.
Well, again, I've worked with homeless. I've worked in the city. I've worked with many, many diverse backgrounds, and I believe that I am the most qualified because of my diversity. I'm not here on my own. I'm here because I care about the people, I care about the city. I've served in my community for over 30 years, and I will continue to serve. I believe I'm the most qualified. I can learn about codes, I can learn about zoning, but if you don't have that life experience, working with people, working with your community, reaching out in nonprofits and volunteering with the poorest of the poor. And then we did have, Help for Kids has won the Martin Luther King Award, which I am on the board of directors for. So I believe those are life experiences you can't have just about zoning and traffic and that sort of thing. I think I am the most qualified because I have a heart for the people, I've worked with the people, and I will continue to work for the people.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. And question for you to lead us off, the last one from our very astute readers at ArizonaDigitalFreePress.com, and that is, what are your plans regarding those who are experiencing homelessness?
Ms. Carter?
Yes.
Did you say?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know. Well, I believe that we do have programs in place. I was the only candidate to mention in the first debate that we should work with our faith communities, and that includes Jews and Christians alike. I'm a strong supporter of Israel. I'm not leaving our Jewish brothers and sisters out. I believe we should reach out to our faith communities, which, like Phoenix Rescue Mission, we have a lane, we have bridges, but I also believe we need to give people a hand up, not only a hand out, but a hand up. We need to create more work programs. We do have Brick by Brick, which again, I was the only candidate to mention that. I believe that our police are working with the homeless. We are kind of strapped in what we can do, but I think there was just passed an ordinance by our city, which I was very happy to see, that we will have a little more leeway to help the homeless in our cities. So I've worked with all these agencies in my career and in my nonprofit organizations. Thank you.
Mr. Graham, to you.
Thanks, Terrence. On this issue of homelessness, it is something that concerns me. There was a court ruling a few years ago in 2018, 2019 that really hampered municipalities' ability to do as much about the homelessness. So what I'll say is that I think that we've got to handle it gently. I do think that we are a tourism city, though, and I think you have a fundamental right to feel safe on your streets, on your street, and in your city. And we want our tourists to come back. There are cities where the problem has gotten out of hand and people don't want to visit there anymore. Just last week, the City Council took up this issue and they passed some tweaks to the ordinance to get more in compliance with the Supreme Court ruling, because we've got to find ways creatively to keep our city looking nice and making sure that people feel safe and that people want to come back. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Graham. Okay, so now we have a bit of an experiment of mine, and we're going to do speed questions. Mr. Graham, we're going to start with you.
Oh, no.
So I'm going to say, for example, vanilla or chocolate, and your response is?
Vanilla.
Okay. So you understand. Ms. Carter, you're next. Here we go. Vanilla or chocolate?
So in that example, can I say swirl?
Dark
Here we go.
chocolate.
Here we go.
Dark chocolate.
Let's keep it together. Speed questions. Mr. Graham, vanilla or chocolate? Vanilla. Tom Cruise or Tom Selleck?
Tom Selleck.
Favorite desert dweller, Cardinal, Diamondback, or Coyote?
Diamondback.
Wait, are you asking both of us?
I guess I'm asking both of you.
Okay, so it's up for grabs,
Yep,
kind
it's
of
up
thing.
for grabs. Let's go fast. Come on.
Can you repeat those critters again?
Favorite desert dweller, Cardinal, Diamondback, or Coyote?
Diamondback.
Cold Stone or Sugar Bowl?
Sugar
Bowl.
Seinfeld or Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld.
Black cowboy hat or white cowboy hat?
A white one.
Other one, black one.
Okay. Hot coffee or iced coffee?
A what?
Hot coffee or
Iced coffee.
coffee?
Iced coffee, no question.
Hot coffee.
Okay. Dog person or cat person?
Dog person.
I like them both. I like animals.
Okay,
Can I-
I'll accept it. Watermelon or cantaloupe?
Watermelon.
Watermelon.
Okay. Bigger fan, Tiger Woods or Tiger King?
What? Could you repeat that?
Bigger fan, Tiger Woods or Tiger King?
Today, let's go with King.
Better story, serious one. Better story, Handmaid's Tale or Atlas Shrugged?
Shrugged.
Atlas Shrugged.
Okay. Better shopping, Scottsdale Quarter or Old Town?
Old Town.
Well, Old Town.
Better lunch, sandwich or salad?
Sandwich.
Salad.
Okay. Bigger deal, Phoenix or Scottsdale?
Scottsdale.
What did you say?
Bigger deal, Phoenix or Scottsdale?
Oh, I love Scottsdale.
Of course. Okay, so now we're going to do more serious
That
questions.
was the first of its kind, wasn't it?
I think so. So now we're going to do yes or no questions, and each of you are going to respond with your own time.
Separately?
Separately,
Okay.
yes. So Ms. Carter, we're going to start with you. Do you believe the city of Scottsdale needs more dwelling units? Yes or no?
Yes.
Do you believe the city of Scottsdale is approaching build-out?
No.
Do you think Scottsdale is doing a good job managing its myriad water resources?
Yes.
Do you think Scottsdale is doing a good job managing its financial resources and revenue streams?
I think we can do better.
Yes or no, but okay. Is
No,
there a
no.
crime problem in the downtown Scottsdale Entertainment District?
It's hard to hear.
I'm
You're
sorry,
a little
I'll-
echoey.
Is there a crime problem in the downtown Scottsdale Entertainment District?
Yes.
Is Scottsdale doing enough to support its first responders in terms of funding?
Yes.
Is this the best debate you've ever participated in?
Absolutely, Terrence. You're great.
Barry, hold on, Barry, for you.
To that question, there's no debate.
Okay, got it. Okay. Do you believe the city of Scottsdale needs more dwelling units?
No.
Do you believe the city of Scottsdale is approaching build-out?
No.
Do you think Scottsdale is doing a job managing its myriad water resources?
Yes.
Do you think Scottsdale is doing a good job managing its financial resources and revenue streams?
Yes.
Is there a crime problem in the downtown Scottsdale Entertainment District?
Unfortunately, there kind of always has been a little bit.
Is Scottsdale doing enough to support its first responders in terms of funding?
No.
Okay. So that concludes the moderated portion of the forum. Now we move into closing remarks. Mr. Graham, 3 minutes for you, sir.
Wow. Well, this has been a first of its kind debate,
Yeah.
and I just helped find my notes here. I wasn't ready for this. So I'm just so glad to be here, and I'm just glad to talk about these issues. These are issues that are important to you, and this campaign has been very edifying and enjoyable, and it's been quite a pleasure of my life. What I'll say is that you've been let down before by other candidates. Some candidates have claimed to be pro-resident. They didn't have experience. They didn't have a record they could point to. And I've heard from many people they were let down. We need to elect people to city council who say what they mean, and we need to be able to trust what they say. Actions speak louder than words. I'm the only candidate running for city council who has been endorsed by current council members Kathy Littlefield and Betty Janik. You recall that Kathy was the top vote getter in the primary and was elected outright to the council for her third time. So congratulations. If elected, I will respect voters' priorities, keeping their neighborhoods safe, vigorously pressing short-term rental regulations that hold bad actors accountable, and managing the apartment boom by raising awareness of drought conditions and heat island effect. I'm very pleased to be here and to learn more about my candidacy, Barry Graham Residents First. And again, thank you so much for being here. I want to thank the City of Scottsdale for hosting us in this building, and I want to thank Digital Free Press and Terrence Thornton for his time.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Ms. Carter, to you, 3 minutes.
I believe leadership, first of all, begins in believing in your cause or your calling. I've always been a team player, and I will continue to be a team player on the Scottsdale City Council. I believe the main job of a leader is to influence others, not to always agree, but to influence. I want to reduce crime, homelessness, and panhandling, and keep our neighborhoods safe from human trafficking and drug cartels by fully funding and staffing our police and first responders. I want to enforce current laws and noise ordinances for short-term rental properties, promote local business, tourism, and arts. I want to preserve Old Town. I want to make sure our Sonoran preserve stays beautiful and free from any kind of building. I want to keep our property taxes low by passing no unnecessary spending. I want to also enforce our current laws for homelessness and help the homeless and point them to a better life. The City Council needs leadership, positive action for the good of our citizens in Scottsdale to resolve and bring values to stand on those principles that are within our own personhood. I've been trained in the trenches for many years over my lifetime, and I believe in those who fought for our freedoms right here in America. And I became a producer and director of national television programs. That is no easy job, to speak in the camera to millions of people as well as manage production crews from behind the scenes. So I believe my experience as a community leader, I've done outreach, various types of groups. I'm also half Latina, so I think I can promote also the Latina heritage of my ancestors who were immigrants. My grandfather came over as worked in the copper mines and became a legal citizen. My grandmother Martina lived in a little tiny home that she purchased by the death of her son in the Battle of the Bulge. So we have a vested interest here in Scottsdale. My family has owned property here for generations. I'm a generational team leader. I love my heritage, I love Scottsdale, and I will be your city councilwoman. Go to my website, PamelaCarter.com, for more information. I have all my information on there. You don't have to guess about where I stand on the issues. It's very clear what I stand for, and I have always been true to my word. I've worked in the trenches, and I will continue to work for you, Scottsdale. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate all the support from my volunteers and everyone who supported me in this primary, and I will be your next city councilwoman.
Thank you very much. And with that, that concludes the forum we have prepared for today. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Terrence.